Well, good Saturday morning to you, and welcome to Coach's Corner, live from Hardy's this week. And, well, it's been just a crazy morning, lots of stuff going on, playoff time coming up, and, of course, not everything works out correctly electronically, so you got to battle through those things as well on a Saturday morning, but looks like it's going to be a great day out there. Get out there and enjoy it. Just got a text message from somebody who said they're listening in the Ice House. Perfect place to be on a Saturday with Coach's Corner on. Let's go back to last night. The Bronco girls basketball team was at home. They were taking on Roseau, and Roseau went to the state last year. Very good basketball team overall, and the Broncos trailed by 15 at the half. They cut it to 64-60 towards the later half of the second half, but they lose by 15 points, 82-67. Emma Gilbert led the Broncos with 14. Libby Miggins and Tia Goulet each had 10. The girls are in Crosby Ironton today for a 3 o'clock game, and you can hear that game on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com with pregame starting at 2:45, and we'll be picking up the feed from our friends, our partners down at Brainerd, down at Skeeter 101.5. That's who will be bringing you the broadcast this afternoon. The Bronco boys basketball team was in Duluth last night. They were taking on the Marshall Hilltoppers, and boy, I'll tell you, it was quite the ball game. 32-32 at the half. The Broncos trailed by 7 points midway through the second half. They had a 2-point lead going into the last possession of the ball game. Marshall had it in their hands. They hit a three-pointer with 1.8 seconds left, and they defeat the Broncos by a final of 72-71. The Broncos made just 17 of 32 free throws in the basketball game. You miss 15 out of 32, and you lose by 1. Somebody's going to be thinking about that for a while. Armando Barrios led the way for the Broncos with 36 points. Tanner Budrus had 19. The Little Fork Big Falls Viking boys basketball team was in Deer River last night. They lose by a final of 110-38. The Voyager basketball teams were in Ely last night to take on Vermilion. The women came home with a 77-50 win. Deja Monroe led the way with 30. Kayla DeGreat had 14 points and 17 rebounds for a double-double, and point guard Devonay Gross, she had 10 assists. The women are now 16-5 on the season, 9-1 in the Northern Division, and I might have not changed that. It might be 10-1 in the Northern Division. They play Mesabi Range at home today at 1 o'clock. Mesabi Range just 4-5 in the Northern Division. The men were also in Ely last night, and they lose to the Ironmen for the second time this season, this time by a final score of 89-80. The Voyagers did lead by 3 at the half, 41-38, but Vermilion opened up a 14-point lead at 75-61 in the later parts of the second half, and then they defeated the Voyagers 89-80. Anthony Mera had 26, Isaiah Sims 14 to lead the Voyagers. The men are now 17-6 on the regular season, 9-2 in the division, still in first place in the Northern Division, and they also play Mesabi Range this afternoon at 3 o'clock. The Norsemen come into the game with a division record of 4-7. So get on out, and this is coming up on the last weekends. They play tonight, Wednesday night, or this afternoon, we'll get this right, Wednesday night, and then on Saturday, and then that's the end of the regular season, and they'll be off to the playoffs. Both teams, I think, are just about assured of making the region tournaments. The Fort Frances boys hockey team, they were on the road this weekend for 3 games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Last night they were in Red Lake. This is going to wrap up their regular season. The Fort started their long weekend on a very good note with a 9-1 win over Red Lake. Eric Pitkinen and John Bush each had 2 goals in the win. The Muskies now play Red Lake at 12:30 today. Then they get on the bus. They head for Sioux Lookout, where they will be taking on Sioux Lookout tomorrow night at 7:30. The playoffs start for the Fort Frances boys hockey team on Wednesday night at home at the Duke at 7:30. I'll be there to bring you coverage of the first game of the semifinals as the Muskies get their playoff season started. The Fort Frances Lakers got the first 6 goals of the game last night at home by 6 different players and a 6-1 win over English River, who had their 5-game winning streak broken. The Lakers are back at home tonight as they host Dryden. High school scores from last night, of course, section girls hockey coming to a close last night. A couple of interesting games of note. Brainerd Little Falls over Roseau, 2-1 in the Section 8 AA final in 3 overtimes. And also Edina and Blake played last night in the 2-1 of the 2A section finals last night. Both those teams are the defending state champions. Blake moving up from Class A to Class 2A. Edina comes away with a, with a 4-2 win, and all section championship games are now complete. Seedings will be done today for the state tournament, which begins on Wednesday. Of course, Proctor Hermantown won Section 7A on Wednesday. In boys hockey last night, one game of note, Thief River 2-1 over Bemidji. The Bronco boys, if you didn't hear, yesterday received the number 5 seed in the Section 7A tournament. They play at number 4 Duluth Denfeld on Tuesday at 5 o'clock at the Heritage Center in Duluth. Pre-game starts at 4:40 on K104 and RJBroadcasting.com. And if the Broncos win that game, they'll be right back at Amsoil next Friday night for a 6 o'clock game against presumably the number 1 seed in the section, which is Hermantown. Greenway got the number 2 seed, Virginia 3, Denfeld the 4, the Broncos 5, Evelyn Gilbert 6, Hibbing 7, and North Shore 8. And again, UMD, who won their playoff series, or are going to have a home playoff series, will split the Section 7A and Section 7-2A semifinals at Amsoil next week. In boys basketball last night, Moose Lake Willow River 77, Cook County 48. Northeast Range loses to Cherry 39-35. Renshaw loses to Silver Bay 64-62. A little bit of a surprise there to me. Ely 81, Chisholm 65. Esco 83-43 over Two Harbors. Greenway continues their hot season. They defeat Big Fork 80-59. Cromwell 59, McGregor 41. Proctor beats Hermantown 73-66 in that contentious battle between those two schools. Southridge loses to Barnum 78-44. MIB 61-48 over Nashua Keewatin. Mesabi East, Northwoods by 40 points over Mesabi East, 105-65. Carlton 48-41 over Floodwood. And Hill City defeats Northland 56-51. In girls basketball last night, Proctor goes 2 for 2 against their rivals Hermantown. The girls get a 51-35 win. Duluth Denfeld 44-42 over Nashua Keewatin. Northholm Kellier 63, Nevis 53. Hibbing 68-41 over Deer River in an IRC battle. And Lake of the Woods 47, War Road 35. College hockey last night in the Big Ten, number 1 Notre Dame loses to Michigan 4-2. Michigan State over Penn State 4-2. And Minnesota defeats Ohio State in a battle of two top 10 teams by a score of 2-1. In the NCHC, St. Cloud State, ranked number 3 in the nation, get a 5-5 tie with Western Michigan. Omaha 6-3 over North Dakota. Number 2 Denver 5-1 over Colorado College, and UMD gets a 4-0 win over Miami. BSU last night 2-1 win over Alaska. Mankato 7-1 over Ferris State in the WCHA. In women's WCHA action last night, number 1 Wisconsin 4-3 over Minnesota. Ohio State shuts out Bemidji State 4-0, and UMD shuts out Mankato 2-0. In case you missed it this morning, the men's Olympic team just finished up about a half hour ago. They lose to Russia by a final score of 4-0, and they're going to have to play a play-in game to get into the medal round or to get into the playoffs. So U.S. men's hockey not doing very well. What's going on today? Well, I already mentioned the Fort Francis boys hockey team. I think I said the game was at noon. It's actually at 12:30 at Red Lake today. The Bronco girls basketball team down in Crosby Arrington for that 3 o'clock game. Again, you can hear that game with a pregame starting at 2:45 on K104 and online at RJBroadcasting.com. The Rainy River men's and women's and men's basketball teams at home at 1 and 3 o'clock. The Lakers are at home against Dryden. And the swimmers, they're going to have their junior high invitational, the Reed Invitational, this morning, and that gets started, I believe, at 11 o'clock. And we're going to talk Bronco boys swimming and diving coming up here momentarily. We're also going to get a chance to talk about boys hockey and the upcoming playoffs as Coach George McDonald and a couple of players are going to be joining me here for our third segment. So don't go away on that. And what's going on elsewhere? Of course, the Wild. Today, they got a big game against Anaheim. That game is at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Tomorrow, the Fort Francis boys hockey team at Sioux Lookout as they end their regular season. That game is at 7:30. And the Gopher women's basketball team, they take on Maryland tomorrow at noon. What's going on with our former Broncos? Well, Amy Orrin They got a 2-2 tie with Eau Claire last Saturday. They get a rematch this afternoon at 2 o'clock. That wraps up their regular season. Lexi Edwards had a 1-0 loss last Saturday. They get a 5-0 win last night over St. Michael's. They play St. Michael's again today. And then Lexi's playoffs, they get started on Wednesday in their league playoffs. Lucas DeBenedict and the Northland hockey team, I still think waiting to find out if they're going to be in the playoffs. I couldn't find anything this morning. Abby Koshik with the Moorhead State women's swimming team, they're taking part in the NSIC championships that started on Wednesday and conclude today. Lexi Erickson was in Northfield last night with the St. Kate's indoor track and field team. She took 7th in the 800, 2nd in the high jump, and she was part of the second place 4x400 relay team. Brianna Schaffner was supposed to be at St. Louis last night. Did not find any results for her. Savannah Olson will be at UND this weekend. So will Taylor Hebner and Sydney Raboyne with their respective teams. And Wyatt Helgeson will be in Northfield. He's with the St. Scholastica indoor track and field team. He'll be down in Northfield today. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk Bronco boys swimming and diving. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. A couple big deep breaths by my guests here just to make sure they got the nerves calmed down. One of them already promised me he doesn't get nervous about anything ever. And let's hope that for their sakes, stays that way this week, as I'm joined by Bronco swimmers. No divers in this group this morning. You guys got to bring me a diver every once in a while so we can talk about the art form of diving. Eric Early, Tanner Sether, Alex Bellinger joining me, and we'll try not to break into any calculus here, guys. We'll try to stick to swimming. And well, first of all, let's talk about the swim meet here at home, the junior high meet. Sether, what's the story? What do you got? You got the microphone in your hand. What do you know about today's Reed Invitational?
Well, there's going to be Grand Rapids and Hibbing there, so that's obviously some high competition. Mesabi East always brings forth good teams, but we got Jake Slatinsky and Gavin Wilson on our team, and I think they're going to do really good today.
Okay, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, right? I'm thinking about that, right? Correct.
Yep.
And so we've got a bunch of teams coming in. It gets started at 11?
Yep.
11 o'clock. Probably will get done like, 4 o'clock? 5 o'clock? Sounds about right. And so get on out there if you want to go enjoy some junior high swimming to 7th, probably 7th and 8th night, or will they sneak a few 6th graders in there?
I'm not sure.
Oh, man, you got to know these kind of answers, Seth. There's the pressure. Well, the regular season is done for the varsity team. And give me, in 3 words or less, Alex Bellinger, a recap of the regular season. 3 words or less. Make it tough for you.
It was good.
It was good. Tanner, I'll give you 5 words to explain the season.
I could do it in 3.
Okay, 3 words.
Poo-poo canoe.
Poo-poo canoe. Eric Early, you want to try? I'll let you just rattle it off.
Fun, short,
short. That's interesting.
Short, yeah.
That's an interest. It is kind of a quick season, isn't it? It's kind of like the football season. It's kind of short, and so we got sections coming up this week, guys. Starts on Thursday, and so let's get found out what you guys are swimming in, because I got to believe that you guys know by now. It's Saturday. You're swimming on Thursday. You got to know.
Yeah.
Alex Bellinger, what do you got?
Okay, so I'm in the first relay, the medley relay.
Okay.
The 50 free and 100 fly, and then the last relay, so the 4x100 relay.
Spaced out. Kind of nice.
Yeah, except for the 50 and the 100 are pretty much back to back. But
yeah, because on Thursday they'll be kind of back to back, but then they'll be diving in between on the finals. Tanner Sether, how about for you?
The 200 medley relay, 100 freestyle, the 200 freestyle relay, and the 400 freestyle relay.
That's right. You're the relay man.
You know it.
You know it. And Eric Early, how about for you? What are you swimming in?
I got the 200 freestyle and the 500 freestyle.
Whoo! 500.
Yep, never done it before, so might as well do it now.
best place to learn.
Well, this is the last meet. This is senior year. You might as well get it experienced. You might as well have it. Did you have a vote in that, or did you just kind of get told that's where you're going, Eric?
Coach gave me the choice. He's like, I thought about putting in the 500, and I was like, I was very reluctant at first, and then I tried it, and I was like, what the heck, I'll do it.
That's the attitude. That's the team attitude. And so, Alex, obviously, last year going to state in the 100 butterfly. Are there are the expectations as high as last year? Because you took third place last year in the sections, and is that the goal? Is there higher? What are we looking at for the race coming up? Because you got to tell us the truth, because every year things change, people change, events, everything else. What have you been seeing?
So basically, last couple of years before that, there was one guy from Hibbing that was just unbelievably fast in it, and then he quit doing it and went to a different event.
Interesting.
Before. And so he's coming back this year, and some guys graduated, so it'll be really interesting to see where that race goes. And
so you're going to give me? Are you going to give me like three or four names to look at who we might be thinking about, so that so I can do my comparisons on Thursday when I'm looking at it. I can go, yeah. Okay.
It really comes down to who Hibbing swims at this race. I'm pretty much faster than everybody except for the Hibbing guys, and they've got 3 guys that are fast, but not all of them ever swim it at one time. And it really, Sam Ioza, Joe Ioza, and Riley Bame.
Okay,
crazy fast.
So crazy fast. So theoretically, if all 3 of those swam, you're thinking fourth.
I better be breaking that record. That's where that's going.
Okay, where's the record at?
55-4.
55-4. 55-4. Okay, and the top 3 out of the section go, correct?
Yep.
And if you make a certain time, is there a standard that we could reach to?
There is. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It is really fast though.
How about the 50 free? What are things looking like in the 50 free?
I'm shooting for top 8. Yeah, if I swim a good race, I think I can easily get that.
Okay.
And we'll see where it goes on Saturday. You never know what happens.
You never know what happens. Let's talk relays, Tanner Sether, because you're the relay man. What are we looking at for the 3 relays? For the let's start with the medley relay, where you guys each swim a 50, one lap of the pool. Talk about who else is going to be on this besides Alex, and what you guys are kind of expecting going into that race.
I believe that race is also with Alex Bissonette doing the fly leg and Ben Keeney doing the breast.
Okay.
I think our goal is to get top 8 at sections.
All right. How about the 200 free?
I'm not actually sure. I think you're not in that, so I think it's me, Jake, Gavin, and Alex Bissonette.
Okay. And then for the 400 free, Bellinger.
Yeah.
And you and.
That'll be
I actually
me.
think I'm an alternate for that one.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be me, Gavin,
Alex and Jake.
Alex, yeah, and Jake.
Okay. So what kind of what should I be expecting for Thursday? Is this something? I know you got top 8, you get top 16, you get the A final and the B final. What are your expectations for people who are going to be qualifying for one or both of just one of those finals, but for both of those finals for the A's and the B's?
I think Jake Slatinsky has a good chance of going, and probably maybe the A final, definitely the B final, and the 500.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a big race to watch. Got high hopes for him, and I think he can do it. He's got a really good 500.
He's been swimming very well in that event.
He's swimming it a lot. He's getting consistent, and yeah.
What else?
I think Alex Bissonette can make probably top 16 in the 100 fly. I don't know about top 8, but it'll be good if he
It'll
can.
be close?
Yeah, I think
Taper
he's
works
gonna do
good for him.
Okay.
Gavin Wilson could probably go top 16 in the 200.
Okay. Okay, so now you guys are struggling. So now I'm going to go to the.
I'm pretty sure that's what
I'd like to shoot for top 16 in the 100.
Okay. So where are we going to be at with the divers? What do you guys know about the diving? Because I try.
That's a good question.
That's what we're here for good questions. Go ahead.
The top 4 go to state in diving, and I'm pretty sure we're at like 5th and 6th.
Okay.
There's this new 7th or 8th grader from Chisago Lakes who just joined, but he's in gymnastics, so he's really good all of a sudden.
I heard about this kid somewhere.
Bumped one of them down to 5th and 6th. And
so, how many? And I tried to get an answer out of the coaches at the last home meet against Mesabi. Of course, it was a little early in the ball game, but I mean, the number of kids diving is very, very low. Are we expecting maybe 8, 9? 10 divers?
I think 9 sounds about right.
Yeah, if even. It's a really low number of divers.
So, of course, the 3 divers are Robert Sweeney and Logan Phillips and Adrian Manassa. And so, obviously, we wish them the best of the luck. How about team-wise? What's What are we looking at team-wise? Is this something where we've got a number, a place that we'd like to get to? I mean, this is
Beat Virginia.
beat
Virginia, that'd be a really good goal. We usually beat Evelyn and Duluth Marshall and Duluth Denfeld.
So 10 teams in the section, right? So we're thinking sixth would be
fifth would be
beat Virginia
great.
and Chisholm would be what we'd want to.
I'm wondering if we could beat Chisholm at sections. That'd be also really cool.
okay. So we'll look for that. Highlight of the season. Top thing from this season. Not what could happen coming up this week. What's the top highlight from the season? Eric, we'll start with you. With the number one thing that you're going to remember most about this season in 10 years.
I'm going to remember all the meets, just the adrenaline you get swimming and getting ready for your race and just jumping in that water and everything goes quiet. And
Does it get quiet?
Yeah.
It does?
You can't hear
You can't
anything.
hear anything underwater.
You can't hear yourself splashing?
No, I mean,
You don't hear anybody screaming
Got a
at you?
swim cap on. Not really.
So all those people that are in the
Oh,
stands
yeah.
screaming, they're wasting.
Parents are nuts.
They're wasting their time.
We waste.
How about for you, Tanner? What's the number one thing from this season?
Well, I thought it was pretty cool that we got to actually win a meet this year for the first time in like 7 years.
That was a big one. That one was over Evelyn Gilbert. I
Yeah.
got to think about that correctly, and broke the long streak there. And that's something that as seniors, I think that's a great testament to what you guys were able to do and get that to happen. How about for you, Alex?
Yeah, winning that meet was.
You can't.
I can't.
You
think of
can't. You
anything
can't pick the
else.
same one. You got to pick something
What?
different.
Are you serious?
There had to be a race that was exciting. Had a big finish or something. No.
Do you know? Actually, I did have a couple of. I had a couple of 100 flies and 50s that I was able to just touch the guy out at the end or beat him on the last leg, and that's always really cool to do. I mean, it's kind of that thing where your training paid off because that's the last leg. That's where it all comes down to it,
Sure.
and it's how hard did you work, how good was your turn, how tight were your streamlines when you're tired. So, yeah, when I was able to do that a couple of times, that was pretty cool.
Guys, thanks for being here. Drive safely, ride safely, whichever one you're doing. Guys, go enjoy the junior high meet. Work well,
do.
and get that calculus done over the weekend. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Oh, ridiculous.
Eric Early, Tanner Sether, and Alex Bellinger joining me here. We'll take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk Bronco Boys hockey. You're listening here from live from Hardy's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, joined by the Bronco Boys hockey team this morning as they just wrapped up their regular season and we're getting ready for the playoffs, joined by head coach George McDonald, a couple of goaltenders, Wyatt Omdahl and Jay Clow, and the captain, Trevor Beckfar. And Coach, I got to start with you because yesterday was the seed meeting, and oh boy, it was tense. We knew going in it was going to be tense. We knew that the Broncos could end up anywhere from 4, 6, 5, 6, 7 possibly. We weren't really sure what was going to happen. You guys get the number 5 seed. Is that a good spot for the Broncos to be in? I know you wanted 4, Coach. Is it kind of a little? Is it bittersweet? Is it kind of explain your feelings about it?
Well, I'm not going to make too much of it, but it was probably one of them. Well, I've only been in 3, but it was probably the most intense one I've been in up to this point. But yeah, like you said, we ended up with a 5 seed, and I have no complaints about who we're playing. My only complaint is where we're playing at.
Yeah, okay.
And like I told you before, I felt everybody tries to sway the numbers where they want them, obviously, but when you compare our schedule directly with Denfeld's, Hibbings, Evelyn, the other 3 team that were struggling for those 4 through 7 spots with
Sure.
us, when you compare just our section schedules with them, in my eyes, we're 4 seed. And that's I don't know how anybody can argue with that, man. I have no idea. We don't do QRF, so you can't bring that up. You can't compare strength to schedules because geographically we just can't play the teams that other teams play.
Sure.
So in my view, anyway, the only fair way to do is side by side your section games against section games, and so again, we are 5. It is what it is, and we're ready to deal with that.
I'll only talk about it a little bit more. Is this something that needs to change after, and it sounds like Hermantown is leaving the section because they are not going to play everybody. Duluth Marshall wasn't playing everybody. Now those two teams are 2A teams, are going to be 2A teams. Is this something now where we can maybe go back and say, all right, you play everybody in the section. If you only play once, it's a 4-point game. If you play them twice, they're 2-point games. And here's the section, boom, it all falls into place. We don't have to worry about who played elsewhere, what your strength of schedule is. Is this possibly something that the section may be looking at possibly doing going forward?
I think coaches would agree to that. I mean, it simplifies it. It is what it is. Then you can do your numbers on it, but, so we don't play Hermantown. We only played Hibbing once this year. I don't think North Shore plays some of those teams. So, yeah, like I said, if you compare how you did against your section, like we did this year, against how they did, if that was all even, then the numbers would work. So, yeah, I think that's something that they can look at down the road.
About a week and a half ago, guys, you guys played Greenway down at the Snake Pit, and it was a 2-2 hockey game with, I think Coach told me about 7 minutes left. Jake, does that give this team going into the playoffs, despite wherever you're seated, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it was, does this give this team confidence going into the playoffs?
Yeah, playing like that against a top 5 team just gives you confidence that you can play against anybody you want if you put your mind to it.
You guys go to Crookston on Saturday last week, a 4-1 loss. You guys go to Badette on Thursday night, a 3-1 loss. I'll ask you, Trevor, as captain of the team, after that good showing in Greenway, does that kind of put a little at the end of the season where you're kind of going, we kind of didn't use that momentum going into the last week of the season?
Oh, yes, definitely, where now we have to pick up that pace into practice and bring that into practice and hopefully bring that into the game.
We talked about this after in the post-game show on Thursday night, that you talked about the intensity that this team needs to come from, and I asked you, who does that come from? And you said from the team. Is that something that was worked on yesterday in practice, and is it something that you guys are going forward into Monday's practice about continuing to ramp it up and try to make the practices as intense as the games?
Yes, for sure. We have to take every drill just like you would in a game and keep it high pace and work as hard as you can.
Wyatt, this has been a season that's, it's had its ups and downs. There's been times when this team's been up. There's been times when this team has had its lulls. Can you kind of give everybody that's listening kind of a feel for where this team is at, maybe mentally, emotionally, because I think we'll talk physically about where things are at in a second, but talk about where the attitude of this team is going into the playoff game on Tuesday.
I believe a lot of people have been doubting us, thinking, oh, you're playing Greenway, they're one of the best teams in the state. Like, we're not going to go to the game because we know it's not going to be a good game. And then we go down there and we, just about take the game from them. And I think a lot of people have been doubting us, and that's been getting on our nerves. And we're itching to prove people wrong here and get to the Amsoil and take on some good teams.
Win one game on Tuesday at the Heritage Center at 5 o'clock against Duluth Denfeld. We'll have the game for you at 4:40 with the pregame on Tuesday afternoon. Coach, talk about the health of the team. I know we talked about Trimble Butler with his back, but it seemed like everybody else maybe no injuries and maybe sickness-wise everybody's coming around. Where's this team sitting at as far as the health?
Well, I think we've been hit pretty hard the last couple weeks, really, and Trimble's been out, obviously. Hopefully he's over skating right now, test driving that thing.
Okay.
This was the day he was going to try it out, and Gus Lawrenson has got a thigh bruise right now. He didn't skate last night. He went to the chiropractor and got it worked on, and I know a lot of kids, if this flu season's been lingering on, and it's probably not just us. It's no excuses or anything, but I looked at Trevor the other day in Lake of the Woods, he's hacking, and I'm kind of dealing with the same stuff right now, the head stuff. So all that cold flu stuff has been around, and it really disrupts kind of your flow of your practices. I mean, we've been as many as 5 guys gone. I think we had one night, and the next guy it's 2 different, so it's hard to keep any flow in practice and that sort of thing. But everybody goes through that. Everybody's probably banged up this time of year, but hopefully Trimble will be okay today and skate on it again Monday and be ready to go Tuesday, and hopefully Gus the same way. But everybody goes through this, and And I think we'll be okay by Tuesday.
Hey, I know I talked to Gus yesterday in school. He said it was very, very painful. It did not feel very good. And it looked like he did not play at all in the third period. Am I correct on that?
No, he never played in the third period, and again, he didn't skate last night. And thigh bruises can be quite bad. I've seen players out for quite some time with bad thigh bruises. It takes a while. So, but I think his is mild. He was walking gingerly on it yesterday, but he was moving around. So hopefully we'll have him back.
You guys played Denfeld on Tuesday. You guys beat them up here on January 20th by a final score of 4-2. Well, you got the microphone in hand, Wyatt. What do you remember about that game against Duluth Denfeld just 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago, I guess.
Well, I think that it was we had some good chemistry. We had some guys rolling that game. And just like any game, we got to get all the guys rolling. When we do that, we can beat anyone.
Jake, how about for you? What do you remember about that game?
I just remember everyone was doing their job and everything was working good for us.
Trevor, I remember being down 2-1. I keep saying that you guys scored 3 times in the third period. To me, that's a sign of a team that is keeping their nose to the grindstone. Do you kind of feel that was what happened in that hockey game?
Yeah, we never get down on ourselves. We always just keep moving forward, look at the next period and bring it in. And our forecheck was working very well in that third period, and we were rolling pretty well.
I got to ask you because we got the 2 goaltenders here, and they do their thing over. You played defense all last year. You started at the defense this year. You got moved up to forward. Different, fun, better, worse. Talk about playing the difference, because you're talking to a guy who never played hockey but would have loved to have done it but never got a chance to talk about the decision to be moved up there and how much you either have enjoyed it or maybe not enjoyed it, but that's what you're doing.
It's just where the coaches need me, and it's a job that you got to do no matter where you get put, and you got to do your job and hope everyone else does their job.
Okay, fair enough answer. I asked the swimmers this question when they were on in our last segment. I'm going to ask you guys the same question. Highlight from the regular season. Obviously, there's big goals out in front of you guys. You guys could be playing in Amsoil on Friday night. All these other things, these things that could happen. Talk about one thing that during the regular season, this is all your guys' senior year. Talk about what you're maybe one regular season or one play that kind of sticks out from this 27-18 season that at the 10-year class reunion you're going to be going, I remember. What's it going to be, Trevor?
I would say the fight that we put up on Greenway. Even though we didn't win, but everyone that doubted us, we showed to them that we can play with any team.
Wyatt, how about for you? Highlight of the season.
For me, I'd say either Parents' Night or the Fort game where we beat them in overtime. That going into the locker room after that game, it was a fun day.
That was a fun day. That was fun. How about for you, Jake?
I'd probably say either the overtime Fort game or even the second Fort game over there was both great games for us.
Yeah, those were 2 pretty fun games. And of course, those games probably stick out. Probably win or lose, but obviously when you win a whole lot more. How about for you, Coach? You got one game that maybe sticks out where maybe the team persevered, and you kind of we can hang our hat on that game and we can go back to that game and say, guys, if you can do what you did that night, we'll be successful.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of the boys always like to sweep Fort Francis, of course, and the boys talked about the Greenway game. Another good one was Virginia up here, I think, later in the year. They're ranked 7th in the state, and we played them 2-2, and they were like, that hit them. But one thing I can say about this team is, I think Trevor mentioned it, is that we've been down before, and I don't remember all the games where we battled back. The Fort game was one, the Denfeld game was one. We've had others that we get behind, and it shows a lot of character of our team. I think those games where we had to battle back, and it would have been easy to fold the tent down, but they keep working and kept at it, and we came up on top. So some of those games, but to these guys' credit too, when they came in as sophomores, they're all seniors here. Prior to that, we were down. Our program was down, just numbers and that sort of thing. Coming off, I think, a 4-win season, and then each year they've made a little progress, and then that makes me smile a lot. These kids have, I believe that their first year as sophomores, and I could be wrong, we were like 9th seed. And I think last year maybe we were 7th seed.
Correctly. Yep.
And now we're 5 seed. So it's a character, it's a quality of this team. I mean, they don't have any quit in them, and I'm extremely proud of them.
Coach, guys, Trevor Beckfire, Wyatt Amdahl, Jake Cloud joining me here this morning. Best of luck on Tuesday. Let's get it. Let's head down to Amsoil on Friday. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for being here. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll wrap it up here from Hardee's. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. And you guys interrupted a great story. I was getting all the inside business. George and I will finish the conversation later, and we might bring George Frake in here in a couple of minutes. We're going to maybe talk about the section wrestling tournament from last night that George and I were at. I didn't mention it during our first break because I thought George might show up for the final segment, and I got to go to my first section team championship in wrestling last night. I enjoyed the heck out of it. They had the semifinals at 5 o'clock, the championship at 7, and there was just some excitement. And Grand Rapids ends up beating Mora for the section title by a final of 45-25, but it was far tighter than that. Maybe we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's head back to the week that was. The Bronco girls hockey team was in the section semis last Saturday night down in Virginia, and they ended their season with a 2-1 loss to Proctor Hermantown. The Mirage scored just 40 seconds into the game, but goaltender Grace Wegner was playing phenomenally. She stopped 23 of 24 shots in the first 2 periods as it was 1-0 after 2 periods. Amber Thielander got her power play goal with about 6 minutes left, but the Mirage would get a power play in the final 2.5 minutes, and they would score with 2:03 left in the game to win 2-1. Proctor Hermantown ends up beating Hibbing Chisholm on Wednesday night for the section championship. The Bronco girls basketball team got a big win on the road last Saturday at Duluth Marshall, 63-56. I believe coming into that game, Marshall only had 3 losses on the season coming into that game. So Broncos are playing much better basketball of late. Emma Gilbert 16, Janet Humbert 14 in that basketball game. Bronco boys lost to Hinckley Finlayson last Saturday, 84-39 in the second game of the North-South Challenge held in Virginia. The Bronco boys hockey team was in Crookston, and they lose by a final score of 4-1, with Kian Gonzalez getting the only goal for the Broncos. The Rainy River women built a 17-point lead and hung on to beat Central Lakes last Saturday, 74-69, as Deja Monroe had 25. The Rainy River men scored, listen to this now, 42 in the first half, only 22 in the second half, and then scored 18 in the 5-minute overtime. 20-minute halves, 22 points, 18 points in the 5-minute overtime period as they defeat Central Lakes 82-71. Anthony Mera had 24 points to lead the way for the Voyagers. Fort Francis boys hockey team got a 17-2 win over Red Lake in their final regular season home game last Saturday, and English River scored with just 27 seconds left to defeat Fort Francis 5-4 as James Gushalak scored twice for the Lakers. On Sunday, the Knights of Columbus District 60 free throw championship took place in Kelliher High School, and 4 kids from the International Falls area headed down, or 4 are going to be advancing out of the kids that advanced down. Kelby Anderson for the 12-year-old girls, Thomas Larson for the 11-year-old boys, Kaylin Murray for the 12-year-old boys, and Brian Koenig for the 14-year-old boys. They all advanced to Bemidji to the regional competition on Sunday, March 4th. Fort Francis Lakers lost a 7-3 game against English River in the game 2 of their series on the road at English River. On Monday, the Fort Francis curling teams all advanced to the NWASA, championships that are going to be held in Fort Francis on March 4th and 5th. The boys went 4-1 as they took second place. The girls did exactly the same thing, 4-1 for second place, and the mixed doubles team took first place and went 4-1. The Fort Francis girls hockey team got a 5-4 win over St. Thomas Aquinas as C.C. Hayes scored 4 times and Taylor Croswell had 3 assists. The Fort Francis girls hockey team, we'll talk more about this in a second, going to get their playoffs started on Tuesday at home against St. Thomas Aquinas. No, against Beaver Bray. I got that incorrect. The Little Fork Big Falls girls had their 5-game winning streak broke on Monday as they lost 68-64 at Cass Lake Bena. On Tuesday, the NKGIF wrestling team saw their team competition for the season come to a close as as they lost 54-30 to Cloquet Esco Carleton in the Section 7-2A tournament. Noah Mathis did win his match on Tuesday. The Bronco boys basketball team lost to the number 1 team in Class A, Northwoods, by a final score of 96-68. Max Olson led the way with 22. The LBF girls got a nice 71-34 win over Northland on Tuesday at home. Emily Franz, 19 points, 15 rebounds and 7 blocks in that game. The Viking boys also beat Northland. They win by a final score of 66-60. And the Fort Francis boys hockey team on Tuesday, they defeated Dryden 4-3 as Caleb Breer had a pair of goals. On Wednesday, the Fort Francis Lakers got 1 goal in the first, 2 in the second, 3 more in the third as they beat the Minnesota Iron Rangers 6-3. Alex Bellinger on Wednesday was named to the All-IRC team in the 200 free relay. Congratulations to Alex. The Bronco boys hockey team closed up their regular season with a 3-1 loss to Lake of the Woods on the road. Last night, the Bronco girls basketball team loses to Roseau by 15 points, 82-67. The Bronco boys lose on a shot at the buzzer by a final score of 72-71 to Duluth Marshall. The Little Fork Big Falls Vikings basketball team, they lose 110-38 to Deer River. The Rainy River women's basketball team, they get a 77-50 win in Ely last night over Vermilion as they stay in first place in the Northern Division. Same can be said for the Rainy River men. They stay in the first place, but they lose to Vermilion 89-80, and now they've lost twice to Vermilion, so that will tighten things up at the top of the Northern Division. The Fort Francis boys hockey team got a 9-1 win over Red Lake last night. Those two teams play again at 12:30. And the Lakers got 6 goals by 6 different players last night in a 6-1 win over English River. Of course, the already mentioned Fort Francis boys hockey in action this afternoon at 12:30. The Rainy River basketball teams 1 and 3 o'clock at the RRCC Gymnasium. Get out there and watch these two teams play. They are electric. The girls basketball team for the Broncos, after their loss last night at home, already in the bus heading for Crosby. They take on the CI Rangers at 3 o'clock. You can hear that game at 2:45 pregame on K104 and RJBroadcasting.com. Fort Francis boys hockey team completes their regular season tomorrow night at Sioux Lookout with a 7:30 game. On Monday, we're going to be in Two Harbors to bring you boys basketball as they take on the Agates. That game is a 6:15 start, not a 7:15 start. We'll have the pregame starting right around 6 o'clock on Monday night. The Lakers will be taking on Minnesota at home Monday afternoon. In case you have President's Day off, you can head over to Ice for Kids Arena for that 2:30 game. On Tuesday, I'll be down in Duluth to bring you Bronco boys hockey playoff action as they take on Duluth Denfeld again. That game starts at 5 o'clock, pregame at 4:40. The Fort Francis girls hockey team, they get their playoff series started with Canora's Beaver Bray High School. The girls basketball team from the Falls will be at home against Warroad for a 7:15 game. The LBF boys basketball team will be in Mesabi East for a 7:15 game, and the Viking girls will be at home against Northwoods. That game is going to have huge playoff implications. The winner probably going to get the 6th seed in the playoffs. The loser is going to get the 7th seed. That's my prediction anyway. We'll keep an eye on that as we go along. On Wednesday night, the Fort Francis boys hockey team gets their playoff series started at the Duke at a 7:30 game. I'll be over there to bring you that game on Wednesday night. Pregame to start right around 7:10. The Rainy River men's and women's basketball team will be at home to take on Hibbing. Hibbing looking to find a way to get back into the women's race in the Northern Division, try to take the Voyagers down. And, of course, the men also will be looking to try to maybe get closer to wrapping up a Northern Division title. On Thursday night, I'll be at the Falls High Gym to bring you Deer River versus the Broncos in girls basketball. The Bronco boys swimming and diving team gets their section meet started in Hibbing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the Little Fork Big Falls girls basketball team, they'll be down in Cloquet to take on Fond du Lac on Thursday. On Friday, well, the Bronco boys hockey team could be playing. If they win on Tuesday, they'd be playing a 6 o'clock game on Friday from Amsoil Arena. I'll be there if they're playing. If not, I'm going to be right back at Falls High Gymnasium to bring you Bronco boys basketball as they take on Deer River in their season finale. And the Lakers will be at home against English River. And the Viking boys basketball team, they'll be down in Kelliher, or Northholm, I believe it is, to take on Northholm Kelliher. Next Saturday, Bronco swimming and diving sections will get wrapped up. Diving at 11. The swimming and diving finals at 3 o'clock. The Rainy River men's and women's basketball team, the men's basketball team will be taking on Fond du Lac on Saturday at home as they wrap up their regular season. So busy playoff time. George, come on in quickly. Let's talk wrestling. We got about 2 minutes to discuss this. It's George Frake joining me. You've got that microphone. And, George, we got a chance to go down, and it was exciting.
It was exciting, wasn't it?
You've been to many section team championships, obviously being a coach, but this was my first. First of all, thanks for taking me down and leading me through everything as it goes along. But I asked the boys this morning one highlight. What's the number one thing from last night's three matches that we watched that sticks out in your brain?
It might be surprising, but it was the 220-pound match. The Grand Rapids kid, and Mora was real strong in the upper weights as Grand Rapids was in the lower weights, and Mora was coming back at him, and Mora was got within 5 points, and they go out and they put out, I believe it was Max Anderson, and he wrestled a guy from Grand Rapids, Mason Morrissey. And Morrissey was having a pretty tough time. He was down 3-1, and then he got a reversal and was down 11-3, and taking a pretty good pounding. And it's one thing about wrestling: no matter what you get, you got to wrestle to the end of the clock. Morrissey flipped Anderson on his back, took the pin, and Grand Rapids will go to the state tournament for the second consecutive year. The gym just erupted. The kids behind the Grand Rapids bench, it was pretty close to being, insane. And I was screaming. Everybody else around me was screaming. It was really, really a great day of wrestling. And I'll tell you what, there's been many great days at Grand Rapids. That is a real shrine of wrestling in northern Minnesota.
I agree. That'll be the moment that I take away from last night. It's just one of those things. I shouldn't say head coach, assistant coach Mike Holden and Noah Mathis were there, and were able to watch that. For me, if you're a wrestler and you walk out of there and you aren't more excited about watching more wrestling or becoming a better wrestler, you don't have the ticker going.
No, and Noah does.
He does.
I can look to see that gleam in his eye, and he's looking forward to next week down in Malacca. And he's, it's a tough thing to come out your first year and all of a sudden win 4, 5, or 6 matches. That's not a bad deal. And I've had kids that have won 4, 5, 6 matches their first year. The next year go to the state tournament.
Sure.
So it can happen. And also, the amount of experience that Bronco wrestlers or NK wrestlers now are feeling, it really can't be experienced anyplace else.
Yeah, I forgot to mention in my what's coming up this week that the Bronco wrestlers will be down in Malacca on Friday and Saturday for the individual tournament, and it looks like the Titans might have a couple of wrestlers that may have a chance to make it to state. So that's exciting.
That's what Mike said. They do have a few wrestlers down there, and they're going to go in and give it whatever they have. And but Friday, I will be in Malacca or more, I guess. No,
it's Malacca. It's Malacca.
And then the next day, I'm going to go to St. Cloud and St. Cloud Tech and watch the 8AA. But a lot of wrestling left. And then the week after that, of course, is the state tournament.
Yeah.
And so I had not seen this much wrestling in a long, long time.
George, thanks for coming on. We're going to step aside, and we'll get you back to the news here at the top of the hour and back to some more country music. Oh, by the way, don't forget the Fishing Derby comes up next Saturday. We'll have wall-to-wall coverage for you Saturday afternoon of the Fishing Derby, starting right around noon and running through 5 o'clock. For everybody at K104 and KGHS 1230 AM, thanks to Ryan back at the station. We wish everybody a good day here from Hardee's. You've been listening to Coach's Corner on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com.